SEN Switcher is a collection of 15 programs, each carefully designed to teach a specific level of switch skills from experiential through to early scanning. Although these programs were designed and written in 2002, they continue to provide motivating opportunities for learners of all ages to develop and practice important skills. The program is accompanied by the original teaching guidance document written by Ian Bean in 2002. You'll also find lots of other information on this website. Back in 2002, SEN Switcher was one of the very first programs for children with complex and profound needs to be run online. These days, because of restrictions for Flash Player, we have to download the program. You can see here that once it's downloaded, you'll have all of the activity groups as separate programs. The program runs in lots of different ways and covers lots of different skill settings. Let's start with Experiential. These activities require no input from the learner. You can try using these activities with young people who are not yet touching the screen or pressing a switch. Our goal with these activities is to encourage the learner to look at and respond to the images on the screen. When the learner is showing interest in the activities, you can then try to introduce a switch. All of these activities work in the same way. We can change the foreground and background colours. So assuming I wanted a red background with yellow objects or a white background with red objects, I can select those. I can select how long the animation will play for, from 5 seconds right through to 10 seconds. I'm going to set this back to 5. And I can also select or deselect the activities I want to work with. This can be really useful for some students, because some students will respond better to different colours and different types of activities. I'm going to deselect all of these and just keep these 3 tunnelling patterns. When you're ready to go, click Go. When the student's ready, you can move them on to early cause and effect activities. This is single press cause and effect, and there are 2 versions of this, one with objects and one with coloured patterns. And again, we can choose the foreground and background colours, the activity order and the animation length. I'm going to keep this in black and white. I find a lot of students at this level respond best and can see best when the objects are in black and white. This time we're presented with a blank screen, and when the student presses the switch or touches the screen, they'll get a simple animation. SENSwitcher was written and designed back in 2002, when we still placed quite a lot of emphasis on the number of presses the child could use with the switch, or the number of times they could touch the switch in order to complete simple sequences. SENSwitcher includes activities for 3 press and 5 press. These activities require the learner to activate the switch 3 times before a reward is given. The screen changes at every press, and we should encourage the learner to notice these changes. Be mindful. In keeping with all multiple press activities, there is a danger that the learner may begin over-pressing or tapping the switch, as up until this point a single press gave them a reward. The skill here is not that the learner can press a switch multiple times, it's that they notice the changes that happen every time they press the switch. So this is an example of an activity with 3 presses. First press, second press, third press, activation. Perhaps the best way to help the child understand that something is changing on the screen when they touch it or they press a switch is to use scenes rather than individual objects or patterns. In this example, I'm going to use a farmyard scene. Every time the child presses the switch or touches the screen, part of that scene will be built up. A hill. Another hill. Look, a tree. Another tree. A tractor. And the tractor animates. It's very difficult to talk about and point out changes in the screen when we're using patterns. A circle, another circle, another circle, and another circle, and another circle. Five-press activities share the same difficulties as three-press activities. It's not about how many times the child can press the switch. It's that they notice that things are changing when they press the switch or touch the screen. SEN Switcher follows switch progression quite closely. The next level of activities after multiple pressing would be pop-up or timed activities. That's where the child responds to something that's happening on the screen. So for example, a dog may pop up onto the screen. When the child sees the dog, they press the switch. With these activities, we again can change the colours of the foreground and background. We can change the activity order from sequential to random. We can change the animation length, how long the dog will animate on the screen. But we can also change the pop-up length. So how long does the child have to respond to the dog that's on the screen before it disappears? This can be really important. Let's set this for 10 seconds. I'll select the dog and press go. Now we need to wait until the dog pops on the screen. There he is. I press the switch. SEN Switcher provides two types of pop-up activities, both which closely follow a skills progression model that we use. The first is pressing the switch when an object pops up on the screen, and the second is pressing a switch when an object is in the right place on the screen. In this example, we can do that with a scene. So I'll select the car, and I need to press my switch when the car's in the right place to make him jump over the car. If your student finds the scenes too difficult to process, you could work with individual objects like these. I'm going to select the bee. When I press start the activity, the bee moves across the screen and across this box. When the bee is in the box, if I press the switch then, he will animate. As you saw there, one of the problems with SENSwitcher, because it was written in 2002 when computers were much slower than they are now, the objects do move much quicker and there's no way to slow those down. This final set of activities in SEN Switcher introduce scanning, both errorless scanning, where whatever the child chooses they'll get a reward, and more formal scanning, where there are cells which contain objects and a reward, and cells which are empty. In this first example, we'll look at errorless. We'll choose the dog and the duck, start the activity. You can see the dog's highlighted. If I was to press the switch now, I'd get the reward for the dog. If I wait, the duck will be highlighted and I can select the reward for the duck. This final activity introduces empty cells. We'll select that activity and start. The car's highlighted. If I touch the screen or press the switch now, I'd get a car reward. The empty cell is highlighted. If I press the switch now, I'll get nothing. And that's SEN Switcher. It's worth bearing in mind that the program was written in 2002 and doesn't accurately reflect our thinking about skills progression with switches now. It also has some technical limitations. Some things run a little bit faster than they should, and some things run a little bit slower than they should, and occasionally the program might crash. But the company that developed this piece of software went into administration over 3 years ago, and this is the only working version of the program that there is right now. And we thought it was useful, and we'd like to share it with you.